Simple. Hey everyone, welcome to the Red to Black podcast hosted by Warner and Mario. And today we are discussing the rampant crime that's increasing across cities in the country. And then also we are discussing the mandates, the health mandates that the Biden administration is going to put into effect on the 22nd of January for truckers and emergency individuals that are non-residents coming across the country. What's that going to do to our financial system? How could that affect your financial freedom? Guys, we are here to help you avoid financial destruction. Mario, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, where you want to associate and be around people of high moral character. So these towns like San Francisco and Chicago, they're experiencing these of shoplifters. You want to avoid doing business or living or paying taxes or being in those communities. You want to kind of hit the road when you see those signs. And if you're paying attention, you've seen this for years and years and years in these what's called very blue Democrat controlled cities. So it's time to hit the road, folks.
Yeah, and here's why you want to hit the road, because anytime you're in business, as we talked about, the core of the business is creating cash. And one of your enemies is expenses going up and revenues going down. Now, both of those things are happening right now. Expenses are going to go up. Give you a few examples: hiring security guards, right? Paying people more to work in stores that just got ransacked. Because now there's this emotional turmoil or psychology going on in their head where they're like, well, I don't want to work here. I don't know if the guys and gals coming in and ransacking the store have guns, knives, whatever. I feel.
Did someone get pepper sprayed up in San Francisco in Nordstrom's?
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, one of the Nordstrom's employees got pepper sprayed, and you're like, dude, I don't get paid enough to get pepper sprayed. I mean, I'm willing to get pepper sprayed, in different situations, but you got to have to pay me a lot.
Yeah. So, I mean, to give you guys a story, one of my sons led off. We were in Wyoming, and I told you the story. And my wife and I were in the bathroom doing something, and we come out, and we hear Jackson and Ellis screaming. And like an idiot, I left the bear mace on the floor, and they got into it and set it off. And it's like the highest capsaicin level you could possibly deal with in terms of like over the counter commercial products. It was insane. Like they were literally all over their face. I was heaving, puking. This stuff was insane. So if you can imagine going into an environment like we used to, also in terms of getting gas in the gas chamber in the Marine Corps, it's insane. So if you're dealing with that, I mean, you're going to be psychologically traumatized for like a day or two from the bum rush and from the mace.
Yeah, I went to a schoolhouse infantry officer course, and I got pepper sprayed right above the eyeballs. So they sprayed it right here. So it's constantly dripping down into your eyes as you were having to fight through some obstacles and ground fight and do grappling and shoot a gun upside down and then balance on a pony while you're shooting a gun and then run an obstacle course. And you couldn't get it because it got into your pores, into your skin here. You couldn't get it. You couldn't flush your eyes because it just kept leaking down into your eyes. It was the most miserable thing. So, if you work in a prison, if you're in a combative unit, if you go to the gas chamber for the Marine Corps, Army, I don't know, Special Forces dudes, it's part of the game. But if you're working for minimum wage at Nordstrom's or I don't know, $18 an hour at Nordstrom's and you get pepper sprayed, yeah, you're right, Warner. It's making the cost of goods go up because you're having to provide unnecessary security to do business in those areas. And there's places like the Pennsylvania Amish. I don't think the shoplifting is very high in Pennsylvania in a community with Mennonites and Amish. There's just easier places to do business. So, and that's where business goes to where it's treated best, just like people.
Exactly. Well said. And here's the thing that we really want to talk about, because our goal on this podcast is to help you reduce, I guess, financial destruction or destruction of your wealth. And the counter opposite of that is creating wealth. So if you're in a city, let's say like Los Angeles or San Francisco, and let's say you're not even around, you're not an employee, or you're not even near that store, but in your mind, psychologically, you're going, is this going to happen near me? Do I have to worry about this? So then you're not focusing your mind mentally on creating wealth. And one of the key things we've talked about in past podcasts is having a clear like just open mind so you can think about your next moves. And if you're worried about security, you're partitioning a part of your mind, like a computer, to focus on, even if it hasn't affected you, on that psychological, what's going to happen next? Is it going to escalate? Oh, my friend said this happened to them. And these stories start like translating into your psyche. And what do? They block you from creating wealth. And then also, there's less opportunity to go work for businesses because the businesses are like, I'm not going to, Walgreens, Walmart, they're all shuttering. I think, who was it? Walgreens or Target, not Target, but Walgreens or CVS is shuttering 900 stores. That's insane, right? Obviously, they're probably going online, but yeah, go ahead.
It's a sign that it's not profitable. Why are they shutting stores? Because it's not profitable. I mean, when we saw the 2020 riots, there's stores like Walmart that just shut down in Chicago. They're like, it's not profitable to have a store in this neighborhood with the morality of the people. And to fix that, you need to convert people. You need to convert people to a higher moral, ethical code, or you need to convict them and have them do hard labor. You need 1 year, 18 months of hard labor where you're like, man, I might not have the morals, but I'll never do that. I'll never put myself in a situation like that again where I have to do 18 months of hard labor out in the highway, or convert them to a higher moral character.
And what you're pointing to, which is really important, I mean, it's the most important thing in business. And what we're talking about is a lot of nuances that people aren't really talking about. It has to do with integrity. If you lose integrity in a society or in a system, that affects the integrity of the business. And the people that have integrity in their businesses and want to run the business the right way, improve their profits, they're going to say, I'm out of California. So then you're left with the businesses that maybe they don't have integrity, or maybe they're hanging on. So now if your goal is to create wealth as a business individual, or maybe you're just an individual investor and working for a job, now your opportunities are going down, down, down. And now you're working for subpar businesses because they're getting hammered psychologically, mentally. They're thinking about, am I going to be next? They're hiring security, and their focus isn't about creating training, like we talked about in our last podcast, training and developing you as an individual, or as an owner of a business, train and develop other individuals to increase the profitability of the business, increase the effectiveness of the business, because now they're focused on security. It's like you're on them now. They become a Marine. They're focused on outer perimeter security.
Yeah. Yeah. So what do we see really? We see a trend towards people not leaving their houses. We see Amazon, Uber Eats. We see Costco delivering. We see Walmart delivering, or at least you don't even have to go into the store anymore. What we're seeing is this shutdown of relationships. We're doing life with other people, seeing people, interacting with people. It's this really stay-at-home economy that's developing, and part of that is a security threat. And then you go to places that are more like Switzerland or Jackson Hole or something that's a little safer, and you see, man, there's these really deep, meaningful connections people have. They get together and they do activities together. They go skiing. They go have a beer at the bar after at après ski, after the ski. They do life together. They go to restaurants together. They go see their kids play sports. I was listening to a gentleman, very, very wealthy gentleman in Texas, and he has a ranch, I want to say 3 or 4 hours outside of Dallas, middle of nowhere, Texas, big ranch. And there's like a town of like 400 to 600 people that his ranch is next to. And his kids like play sports and play. And he was after like a little league game or something. The kids ran off, and, they followed him. The parents, a couple of dads went and like hung out with the kids, and the two dads, this one wealthy guy and another guy, they don't know each other that well. The wealthy man told me he leaned over to the dad. He's like, these parents, they're both from Dallas. He goes, these kids' parents don't know where they're at right now. And he's like, that would never happen in Dallas. So the morality of the people changes as you're going into those rural communities where there's 600 people or there's 400 people and they all know each other, or they at least know somebody that knows somebody. Like, in Jackson Hole, it's hard to go to Jackson Hole and if I meet someone, they know someone in your family, Warner. Everybody I've met in Jackson Hole, if I didn't know them or you didn't know them, they know someone in your family. So the smaller you get in those communities, it's almost that they police themselves. The tightness of that community, it's like tight as a drum, and it polices itself. So those are my thoughts, Warner.
Multiple things going on to recap everything we just discussed. Number one, psychology. Our goal of this channel is to help you to avoid or support you in avoiding financial destruction. The flip side of that is creating financial freedom. So they kind of intertwine. We're sharing our insights on how to avoid it, and then we're also sharing insights how to create it. So number one is place yourself in an environment where it mentally stimulates you or mentally supports you and lifts you up, doesn't tear you down. Because your number one starting point, which I talk with Mario a lot, is your mindset. If your isn't on point and you don't think you can create wealth, or you think you're trapped, then you're going to be trapped. Your actions are going to be concurrent with your mindset. That's number one. Number two is the opportunities, the business opportunities we discussed are going to be going down, because companies are going, why am I going to operate here? Why I have to be in the security environment, unless it's extremely lucrative and the security is just a part of it. They're going to say, adios, fellas. Stores like CVS, Walgreens, it's not extremely lucrative. They're like, I'm out of here. So now you have these lower level jobs that aren't paying, right? And then what's going to happen is, as those stores board up and leave, and I saw this in LA, the business owners, it's not the cops, it's not the sanitary individuals, the business owners are the ones responsible for keeping the streets clean, because they come out every day, they sweep their sidewalk. And then finally, what Mario's talking about, a huge component of avoiding areas like this is the relationships. As it gets crazier and crazier, we've both been in interesting environments, Mario more so on the ground, but I've been all over the world, whether it's in the Marine Corps or outside the Marine Corps. When you get in these really chaotic environments, you have two choices. You either kind of flow in and out of the chaos, or you hide in your sheltered place, and it breaks down communication. So that's what we're seeing. This is how this will destroy your financial freedom. Do you want to be in a place that nurtures you, builds you up? Because relationships and mindset are the two most important things of building wealth, and are not talked about a lot. Or do you want to be in an area where you're just continually hooking and jabbing and fighting? I'm going to choose the former.
And it's not that you have to make that big of a move. Just between Los Angeles and Dana Point, or just Orange County to LA County, Dana Point, California, and Mid-City LA, completely different morality. We see the morality of the people in Dana Point, California, and there might be some bad characters in Dana Point. It's just they get absolutely smashed by the people, the police, the community, the morality of the people pushes out bad characters. Where in Mid-City LA, there's so many people and so much chaos, it's tolerated. Graffiti's tolerated. Broken windows are tolerated. Let's say urination on sidewalks, or just
all of it.
It's tolerated. Homelessness is tolerated. Camping, I can set up a tent. I can do drugs. It's tolerated. The morality of the people is further crumbling. It's pushing out business. It's pushing out opportunity. It's pushing out relationships. It's displacing economic engines, relationships, people, interactions, community, people coming out of their houses, people going to restaurants, people buying things. It's pushing that out. It's pushing that to the suburbs. So if you want prosperous, wonderful cities, run them with a rod of iron.
Exactly. And then also, if that's for the management, if you're looking to move to an area where they have integrity, they have pride in their work, there's productivity, and they want to improve their lives, and everyone takes care of their environment. So now let's step on to another topic that I really want to discuss, which is coming up in the news, which is the Biden administration is looking at enforcing a medical mandate to come across the border for truckers and emergency services on January 22nd. I don't know if it's
is that international border, or is that state borders?
International border.
Okay, so from Mexico, you want to if you want to deliver goods from Mexico. So we have a North American free trade agreement. If you want to trade goods across Mexico into America and into Canada, you're saying there's a medical mandate that they have to have, that the truckers will have to have. Is that correct?
Exactly. So what that's going to do, I was listening to some guys online like John Williams, and they were talking about, or this is John Williams' great YouTube channel. He's covering all this stuff, and he's talking about how a lot of stuff comes from Mexico. And I just bought a Dodge truck, and it came on a train across from Mexico. In Mexico, I love Mexicans, because in construction, Mexicans are some of the hardest workers. You ask anyone in construction, they love Mexicans, man. Great people. So now what you're doing is you're blocking autos. If they're on the trains, they'll probably keep moving, but you're blocking auto parts, you're blocking oil, You're blocking. So now you have two choke points. You have the ports, which have been shut down because of funky business with these mandates. And then also because of unionized truckers are the only ones that can go in. The mom and pop truckers can't go in. And there's also truck points because the port is inefficient. So now that's all jammed up. And now you're going to jam up another huge pipeline for goods coming into the area. So I think we're going to see a ton of inflation and shortages, but it's not because of the monetary system. It's because, as we talked about in the past, labor shortages, in our opinion, or in my opinion, Mario can chime in on this, and supply shortages are causing the inflationary tendencies. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the monetary system. And that's yet to be seen with these $1 trillion packages. Maybe that exacerbates it even worse. Your thoughts?
I don't think so. I think I think a 1.2, 1.3, $1.4 trillion infrastructure package, it's spent so slowly. It's such a slow, you say shovel ready projects. It's so slow. It trickles out so slow over a 10-year period. You're not going to see hyperinflation. I mean, lumber went up, I think 14%. So it spiked up like 300%. It came back down and it's up about 14% in a year, 15%. Let's call it 15% in 1 year. There's other things that are up, 20%, 30% rent in certain areas of our country. Rent is up 20%, 25%. There are certain things that are going to go up in value. What you want to do is just kind of steer around, drive around those obstacles, drive around those things, so now is not a great time, or now it probably has cooled off a little bit, but 6 months ago, a year ago was not a great time to buy a lumber package to build a brand new house. It was like delay. If you have a plan B, live in that plan B, hold out for 18 months and then buy your lumber package to build your house or do your spec house or build your apartment buildings. So I know a gentleman who's stockpiling refrigerators, dishwashers, and washer and dryers in a warehouse so that he is ready. If the supply shocks continue, he can continue to provide appliances for a lot of rental property he has. If things break, boom, here's another one. He's basically starting to run a little Home Depot out of a warehouse. So not a bad idea. It's an insurance policy. If you can get them now and they're the right price and you've got the cash, you might as well stock up. So yeah, supply shocks. I think I would make a case, or I think you could lay out a pretty strong case that the supply shocks are as important or more important than the currency right now, as far as what's creating inflation.
Great points. And here's what I want to touch on is Mario and I are executing our plan B. And for those of you that don't know, our plan B is assets that you own 100%. And as you're in an economy, as the control sort of tips towards the government tyranny, in our opinion, you want to go towards more personal assets, or you want to at least get some of your value that you've created out of the monetary system into personal assets that provide shelter, mobility, food, water, all that stuff that keeps you living, right? So here's the thing. I've been purchasing a lot of items for trucks and campers. My concern is this, is that because of supply shocks and because of constrictions, you're setting these companies, and I talk about these business owners, you're setting these companies way back. And some of them are operating because they're just in high demand right now. But if they can't get parts, they can't get equipment, and they can't sell it, their business goes like that. And my concern is, since people don't want to work and you're losing the supply, I don't think there's going to be an environment where if it crashes, all this stuff just shows up on the market. Some things will, depending on if there's oversupply, but I think most things people hoard onto it because we're in a unique situation we've never been in before in the US, where you don't have people working for businesses and you have these supply shocks. So my assumption is that when we do tank, the things that are going to be on fire sale prices are going to be the businesses, the real estate assets. But I think a lot of those really essential goods, I think they're going to be hard to find. I think they'll even go higher. That's what I think. I don't think people will be offloading them unless they really have to. I think they're going to be hoarding them even more. Your thoughts on that?
I've watched, let's say, certain neighborhoods in Jackson Hole, very, very. I've watched it as the market's at the worst real estate market, as it's climbed out and sideways, up and down. And I've never seen these assets trade at really reasonable prices. The people that own them aren't really scrambling to sell them. So if your assets are owned by people, let's say in the top 20% of take-home income or net worth, et cetera, they're not really scrambling to let go of businesses. Now, if your businesses are owned, let's say the middle class, they're getting absolutely hammered. So if you look at a guy that buys a brand new truck and he's got a middle class job and he loses his job, those assets are like, especially if it's a recreational asset, maybe it's not a work truck, it's a play truck, or it's a truck to tow, like a recreational asset, or an RV. Just those things are going to get absolutely hammered if the economy goes into recession. And you can make an argument where there's some signs that the labor market is real soft. There's not as many jobs coming up, and the ones that are, people aren't wanting to take. So,
yeah, I think if you're looking at the high end, you know me, Mario, I love quality. Good.
Yep.
You know me, I don't settle on quality. And most of the stuff I buy, like for example, I've been buying like bike attachments, this company called One Up. great company for a bike rack on the back of your tow vehicle or on the back of a camper, phenomenally well made. Another company called Pro Pride Hitches, phenomenally well made. And what I've noticed during these Black Friday sales, they are not doing any sales. Carly suspension, no sales. I just looked at it today.
What did Patagonia have? One sale a year for like 10 hours?
They do two sales.
Yeah, two
Spring,
sales a year.
their offload, like their summer line, offload their winter line, just because of the seasonality. But what I guess we're saying is, I don't think you'll see like Airstreams. Maybe you will see a few Dodge 3500s, the truck you bought. I don't think you'll see those things like with the, I won't get into it, but this truck you bought, the setup you have, I don't think you're going to see those things trading readily like on the open market. And if they are, someone's grabbing it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just an assumption. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think the current environment we're going into, we're not like stacking up this oversupply. It's like less supply.
Right.
And that my concern is, if all these companies go bankrupt, how are they going to come back online? You can't get the parts. There's this huge startup cost. People don't want to work. I saw this in California. When the restaurants went down, everyone fled to another state. So you think these companies are just going to go bankrupt and just pop back up? That's not how it works. People are naive. So
no, you've ruined a generation of entrepreneurs and the restaurateurs, hotelers. I don't know what's multiple hotels.
Hoteliers.
You've ruined a generation of entrepreneurs who have gone into that space because they're not gonna just dust themselves off and go, let's roll it again. They're gonna go in a different direction. So maybe in that space you could find some really great deals on commercial grade refrigerators, commercial grade appliances that are like really restaurant quality. Maybe there's a lot of that in California, and there's a demand for that in Texas. Let's say there's an opportunity there for some arbitrage in physical goods. I like that instead of going after overvalued assets. So if there's nothing smart to buy in the equity markets, there's really nothing smart to buy in multifamily. There's nothing smart to buy in, let's say, mobile home parks or RV parks. But you could do just these little small things to keep you busy. Are you going to make a ton of money? No, but it's not that. You're not making a big mistake, and you're just like kind of chipping away at a little bit of money. You're just kind of making a little bit of moves. These little small things. If there's a waiting period, you got to do the hardest waiting period in the history of modern finance was from 1997 to 2008. It was about 1996, 1997 to 2008. There's about 13 years of the hardest waiting period you had in the history of modern finance. But during that time, there was little smart things you could do. You could chip away at, multifamily real estate. There's little things you could do. You couldn't go into the equity markets at that time safely. You couldn't get really high quality businesses at reasonable prices for about 13 years, from 1997, 96, 97 to 2008. But you could do other things. You could chip away at little things. And right now, there's always an opportunity. If you're looking, if you're diligently out there, and that's why you want to get out of your house. Don't just sit there and consume content. Read, consume content, but then go out on the streets and get the ground truth of what's happening. You'll find opportunities.
Yeah, those are great points. Always keep your mindset open, because what Mario is talking about, we have a tendency, when things start going downhill, we have a tendency to say, oh, what the heck? And Mario and I have dealt with this a lot. We've got to the point, and we go up through our valleys and peaks, up to the valleys, down to the valleys, up to the peaks. And what I've shared with Mario is, no matter what happens, just continue to execute. Just even the lowest you are, you can't get up. Just take one step. Just take one step, and then perfect that step. Then take 2 steps. Then 3 steps. Then 4 steps. That's what Mario and I looked at, all the stuff that's going in the world. We said, what's the point of all this? And then I got to the point, and Mario got to the point where it's like, you know what? I'm not going to let people dampen my God-given abilities. I'm just going to go execute. And then what that will do is, when things shift, let's say a totalitarian state comes in, they take everything. I've seen this from great entrepreneurs. They kick it off one platform, they go to another platform. They just keep moving. They don't care what the obstacles are. They're going to get over the obstacles. What people who lose in life do is they look at the obstacles and go, I can't get over that. And Mario and I have gotten caught in that trap plenty of time.
Yeah, it's a spiral. It's a dark spiral you go down. So instead of executing, you're going down this like victimhood. It's been an awesome adventure setting up this Plan B vehicle. We're kind of doing this together but separate, but we have exactly the same destination we're going to maneuver to. But like, let's say checkpoint or objective or
Yeah,
a
I'm
link up point.
not name the objective.
So we have the exact same place, but we're going to get there, almost the same assets, but two different starting points. It's been an absolute adventure. And I have a Dodge 1991 Dodge diesel pickup truck, W250, with an obscene amount of diesel in the fuel tank and a camper on the back of it. It's been a great adventure. So it's brought my spirits up. It's brought my it's basically an insurance plan. It's a plan B. It's an insurance plan that you own. It's not an insurance plan where you go, hey, I have to put in a claim. Can you come pay me my FDIC insurance? Oh, I'm going to get in line. It's an insurance plan that you actually control. And it's been a grand adventure, Warner. So that's what you can do during times where you can't find any opportunity. You can always polish your insurance plan, your plan B.
And let me, for the viewers, kind of talk through the mindset of, like, some people think, and I used to think this, I have the money, yet I own this thing on debt, and I'll pay it off in the future because the payments are low and I could pay it off any time. And I remember when we refinanced, or we sold our fourplex, good amount of money came in. And I said to Lydia, why don't we pay off one of our trucks? And she's like, I don't know. I was like, no, let's just pay it off. So I was in this limbo mentally where I'm thinking this, and this is the reason I'm sharing this. I want individuals to think through this for themselves and watch out for this. This idea that I'm just going to keep, like, I'm going to manage this debt and I'm going to pay it off when I have the cash to pay it off. And I'm just going to manage this debt, but you're still in the system. And what I'm saying is, if they shut down the system, when you start paying off assets, like we paid off the truck, it was like this, I own something 100%. And then we bought another truck and a vehicle and we paid all cash. It was a decent amount of money. But having all cash, there's no, like, even if it was a good amount of money, it's still like, hey, it's free and clear. You have to confiscate it from me to get it. There's a huge satisfaction to take a portion of your money to get that plan B where you own assets, you own resources, but you own them outright.
Right. The only debt I really like is debt other people are paying for me on my behalf. I love non-recourse debt that other people are paying on my behalf, i.e. real estate where people are tenants in it. If you have a personal asset, yeah, sometimes it just makes sense. I get it. I'm not a hard and fast no debt guy, but 0% financing for 5 years. Okay. All right. I just pay it back in 5 years with 0% down or zero interest. But if it's an insurance policy, if the purpose of that vehicle, if you're buying a plan B, if the purpose is for you to be able to execute that plan B, no matter what happens, the storms in life, the storm rolls in, a massive storm rolls into your life and you want to execute something, having it that it's 100% yours. There's no bank that has a control in it. There's no title that you don't have in your hand. There's some value in that. It's absolute control of that asset. Build some peace of mind that you can go maneuver. You can leave the country. You could take that thing and find greener pastures.
And here's what I want people to think about. We've been lulled, including me, big time, lulled in the sense of security where it's like, I can buy that house now or I can buy that car because of debt and I pay these low payments. And I mentally went through this when I started paying for things in cash. Like, for example, I bought this vehicle and I bought some other things. I'm like, do I need the $3,000 insurance plan? I'm like, no, if the transmission fails, I'll take it on the head and I'll pay $5,000, whatever. I'll pay on my own. So Mario's told me about this. When you start paying in cash, you start thinking a little bit differently. But when you're paying on debt, now you're partnering with someone else.
Right. And you have to buy the insurance. Yeah. You should own insurance on things you can't afford to lose. But so I have no, like, if my truck got stolen, I have no let's see here. I have no theft plan on a truck, but it's like this watch to me. It's a G-Shock. Let me see if I can hold this up to the camera. I don't know if people can see it. Yeah. It's a Casio G-Shock. It's worth $150, $120. You could buy insurance on this. Now, if you owned it on debt, they might make you buy insurance on this. But if you lost this, Warner, what would you do? You would go buy another one. If this got stolen from you, go buy another one. You're not going to pay $10 a month in insurance on a cell phone. They sell these cell phone plans. Basically, when you start buying things, when you own it, you start going, I'll self-insure. You know what? I'll self-insure.
This I'm on a payment plan for, but I'm not paying. But so this is the only thing that I have on a payment, which is funny. But yeah, at the same time, I got the insurance on it.
You have optionality. This you could buy insurance. I'm sure somebody will write you an insurance contract on a watch. I guess technically I have insurance on I don't
But
actually don't
here's
even.
here's the difference, and we're coming up to the end of our time. Here's the difference: when you start buying things on cash and you have integrity in what you're doing. Even though I have this, I almost lost the other day. I was freaking out because I was like, "Man, this is worth this. I use this a lot. I don't want to get another one. God, how irresponsible of me to leave it somewhere." And I found it in the laundry basket. So Mario and I, whatever we buy, and I've kind of told Mario because one of his last cars, he kind of ran to the ground. I was like, no, this car, you bring it into integrity because it'll bring you up. So everything you own, guys who are listening to this podcast, everything you own, keep it. Like I have a glass screen for this. I paid more, but my phones will last. This will last me 10 years. I told Mario that. Buy the right case and then it'll last you 10 years. They want you to have this little thin iPhone that just like a frisbee comes out of your hand and it's like boom, every year, $700, roll it over, pay it off. You don't even, I've been through that game. So yeah, guys, hope you listen to this. Right now, we just started these live streams. I don't think we have any viewers, 0, but hey, we're going for it. So we enjoy talking to each other. Subscribe to the channel, like, comment, share this with your friends. And as always, it's a pleasure talking to you, and we look forward to connecting with you in the future. Thanks so much.